Aurora Australis, they call it, when you look into our southern sky, are really, really good. Magnificent scenes lighting up places like Manapōuri, Lake Dunstan, Portobello and the Teviot Valley. It's basically an incredible atmospheric light show. How'd you like to be sitting in the hot pools of Tekapo staring up at this? Well, New Zealand has some of the best spots on Earth to see the phenomenon, but conditions have to be perfect, and right now they really are. And joining us now is astronomy educator Josh Auraki. Josh, why is it such a good time right now to catch the Southern Lights?
Kia ora. So we've had a bit of solar activity recently. So solar activity is directly connected to the aurora, and we're currently in a kind of an up ramp of activity from the sun. So that in turn means we're going to get stronger aurora over the next few years. So yeah, it's kind of a really good time to potentially catch them in the south. You're essentially seeing the Earth's magnetic field do its job, which is a really great thing. So yeah, it's basically you're seeing particles from the sun being channeled towards the poles, and that's why we see it in the north and the south.
All right, what's the best way for us to see the aurora?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first thing you need is a clear sky. So if it is cloudy, you're not going to see them, unfortunately. But it's kind of a bit of a guessing game. So the further south you are, as a rule of thumb, you may have a chance to see them if there is a bit of solar activity. But an increased amount of solar activity means that aurora essentially kind of get pushed more north and north. So if we had a really strong solar storm, for example, you can see them, you know, even in Wellington. There's even been them seen in Auckland, which is really impressive. But as a rule of thumb, the further south you go, the more chances you have to see the aurora.
Hey Josh, there are aurora chasers, I hear, similar to kind of hurricane chasers. What do you know of these hobbyists?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, if I had the spare time, I would probably be one of those people. Yeah, they're really cool things to see. Obviously, I think, you know, aurora for many people is probably one of those bucket list things, you know, kind of a once-in-a-lifetime thing. So there are people that actually chase them. You know, they'll be monitoring space weather. They'll be travelling to those northern and southern latitudes to find them. And, you know, they're really awesome photographers too, so that's where we get all those amazing photos of the aurora from.
Josh, is this something I can plan a family roadie around if I'm wanting to look at the next year or two?
Yeah, it's really hard to say. Aurora are extremely unpredictable. So, you know, we have satellites that may predict that a solar storm's going to hit the Earth, but it could also miss. We could predict a really strong aurora. It could also be really weak. They are really hard to kind of plan around, and I think personally often the best aurora I've seen have been totally unplanned. But I mean, yeah, if you are in the south, if you do get an opportunity, if it is a nice clear sky, if the moon's not there, I would recommend it. But it's, yeah, I can't guarantee anything, unfortunately.
Have you seen one yourself, Josh, or is it still on your bucket list?
Yeah, no, I've been really fortunate. I've seen it in Iceland. I saw a really strong solar storm there a few years ago. And I was also really fortunate to see it here in Tekapo in the South Island. So yeah, I've seen both hemispheres, which is pretty cool.
So you're the ideal man to ask then, which is better, Borealis or Australis?
Oh, I mean, I'd have to say Australis because, you know, we live in the southern hemisphere, so I've got to do a bit of a shout out to that. But yeah, everything's so northern centric, so it's, yeah, I think it's important we see Aurora Australis for the southern lights.
Yeah, it's like northern hemisphere rugby. It's very dull, disappointing. Hey Josh, great to chat to you. Thanks so much for your time.
No worries, you too.
Hey, kia ora everyone, welcome along to the project. Look, Kate Rogers here.
Yes, she is. Wowza, look at these images.
Yeah.
I am totally sold. My stargazing tends to be of the Hollywood red carpet variety, but I'm just about ready to jump on a plane. I had no idea it looked as gorgeous.
I was lucky enough when I was a kid to actually see the Southern Lights from my home in Portobello in Dunedin. I remember my dad coming and waking us kids up when it was very dark, because that was like the best time to see it, and standing out on our porch and like that green glow that you kind of think that was like moving into other colours, and like it was so special. And I know this can't be right, but memory is a funny thing. I'm sure it had a sound, like, you know, the sound of like if you wet your finger and then run it round a crystal glass. The classic Aurora sound. But it was such a beautiful night. So if you are anywhere down there and the weather isn't going to ruin your fun, like, wake the kids up and go and look, because I promise they'll remember it forever.
I love that story, because I was one of the disappointed generation of kids from 1987 who got up to see Halley's Comet, and that one was a real stinker.
Why is everyone laughing when they know what you're talking about? What happened?
It was a tiny dot with a little smudge.
Yeah, you needed a telescope, Jesse. That would have helped. My kids are unimpressed with anything I get them up for. Space station going over, or, you know, the Starlink satellites, whatever it is. Whatever, Dad. Look, there's a bug on the ground. You know? Careless.